Ichikami touched the crystal of magic measuring machine with only the tip of his fingers. With the tip of his fingers, he released his power looking so effortless. As he released his power, the room shines bright looking like a stunning blow because of Ichikami's power. Ichikami smiles while giving his all, but he's not doing it to brag but hopes to inspire people with his great power as a sage. The room looked like a thunder inside a kaleidoscope. The light was so intensely bright that people got distracted by it. All Ichikami did is do his best, but his aura was sensed all over the campus like a student minding her business in a classroom. A boy trying to take a nap on the bench on school grounds, and especially the students who's with Ichikami inside the classroom were mesmerized and felt the intense aura. They all can't tell what's going on since they have never witnessed a power this strong. The magic measuring machine started to float, and its reflection of the light was so bright that it looked like it was about to open a portal in the sky. Ichikami's power was too strong for the machine that it exploded to its limits. Students became mesmerized to suddenly try to defend themselves as the crystal shards goes everywhere when the machine breaks. As expected for the great sage Ichikami, not one scratch was seen on his body. He stands perfectly still with dismay written all over his face, thinking that even a machine couldn't handle his power. He also thought that the machine was specifically designed for the students. Ichikami stares at the wounded students, wondering if they could ever be a magician. Their teacher instantly responded to the explosion by checking the wounded and hurt students, and his relief that the students were okay. The teacher checks on Ichikami, who he thought was Kusanagi. He's worried since Kusanagi was known as someone with no magic. By the looks of it, Ichikami was still underestimated. No one suspected that the explosion came from his power. Though it's their first time to see the machine break down, the teacher believes that it could be a malfunction. The teacher still didn't suspect Ichikami, and he's worried that they won't be able to check the student's power and attribute. Ichikami asked how important it is to measure power and attributes. The teacher answered the question that once the power and attribute is recorded, students will be divided into groups for their combat class. But since the machine broke down, it's going to be a delay. The teacher called Tadano and asked if he could take Kusanagi Ichikami to be part of his group. Tadano be looking at his friends, thinking about committing another scheme. Tadano, being a two-faced bully, accepted the teacher's request for Ichikami to be part of his group, looking like an innocent boy in front of their teacher. Tadano came closer to Ichikami, smirking like a typical villain, and whispers that he's looking forward for Kusanagi to be part of his group with a bad intention in his mind. The next day, the whole class went to Shibuya for a practical class and divided into groups. In Shibuya, there are monsters still inhabiting places that were severely destroyed by the Great Calamity. The current Shibuya is abandoned and completely destroyed. At regular intervals, magicians and police subjugate monsters in the said ruined place. The teacher gave a brief background for the reason why they take a practical class in Shibuya. The class must also participate for the community on annihilating a monster. Their teacher told them not to worry much since the professional magicians took out half of the monsters. As Ichikami looks around the place, his classmates seem to be calm and treating the practical class like a field trip. For Ichikami, he also didn't worry much since students will be working together to cast out a single monster. Ichikami then felt uneasy for still sensing monsters lurking around, even though he wiped out the monster a day before their practical class. He sensed that there is no sign of any disaster, yet questions why there are monsters showing up near them. Ichikami heard his two classmates having a laugh competing in a practical class. He was bothered with his classmates for being unaware of the danger around them and being egoistic for a possibility that they might underestimate a monster that a single one of them could not defeat. Ichikami sighs out of dismay while Mizuha glanced at him the whole time out of suspicion. Mizuha seems to be the only who's aware of Ichikami's power level. The practical class finally started as the teacher calls everyone's attention to make sure everyone works as a team. Tadano calls Ichikami to proceed with his bullying scheme. He pushed Ichikami somewhere where no one could see them, but Ichikami stayed calm and gave Tadano a blank stare. Tadano and his friends acting cocky and thought Ichikami would just get in their way. Ichikami just dusts off his shoulders, being mature, while Tadano still acts almighty and high, trying so hard to be intimidating and threatening. Ichikami maturely asks them to just leave him alone if they don't like him. Tadano responded to not talk back at him as if Ichikami is low-class dirt. Out of nowhere, Tadano, being jealous, suddenly asked why is Mizuha interested in Ichikami. Ichikami, who doesn't even care about their teenage drama, looks confused. He then smiled brightly as he realized that Tadano is infatuated with Mizuha. Tadano was so mad and thought Ichikami's teasing him. He's so angry that veins popped out of his skin. Tadano being a hot-headed bully, he's so pissed off with how Ichikami interacted with him, so Tadano and his friends' attempts to attack Ichikami again. Ichikami didn't even flinch, nor was it amused by their arrogance. Ichikami, being cool and calm, told them to not do it. implying that there's something more viscous behind them. The three bullies were petrified as they turned around to see a huge monster called the Demon Soldier. Friends of Tadano depends on him since they believe Tadano is one of the most powerful magicians in class. Tadano trembles but fakes his confidence to prove he's still strong. Tadano then tried his best and began to recite a spell to cast against the Demon Soldier. As he charged the attack, the three of them were relief and cheering as they idolized Tadano, thinking they completely defeated the Demon Soldier. The friends were distracted by their relief that the Demon Soldier tensed up its aura while standing still after Tadano's attack. Tadano froze out of fear and realized that his attacks were completely useless. Ichikami in the back observes Tadano's attack and the Demon Soldier's capability. Ichikami distinguishes that Tadano's level 1 magic power is ineffective and won't be able to take down a Demon Soldier. The Demon Soldier then came closer to Tadano and his friends. The Demon Soldier walked slowly while his aura became intense as it moved. Tadano and his friends lose their cool. Tadano fell on the ground and was terrified of not being able to defend himself and his friends. The friends held each other out of fear while crying as they trembled. Tadano even peed himself, thinking at that moment it was going to be his last. The Demon Soldier reaches its claws looking so bloodthirsty, attempting to brutally murder Tadano and his friends. As the monster tried to attack Tadano, the Demon Soldier felt an unusual aura. He looked up and the Demon Soldier saw Ichikami looking so fearless and calm. The demon can tell if a person is strong. When the demon senses Ichikami, he backs away while Ichikami moves forward to the demon monster. Ichikami had joy in his face, thinking of annihilating a Demon Soldier. The Demon Soldier does not underestimate Ichikami. It is aware of his powers. Ichikami glows when he releases his powers, but since the Demon Soldier is aware, the demon monster immediately casts a spell to attack. Ichikami, being a professional, led his one magic circle out to battle the Demon Soldier. Even though the three bullies are crying out loud while snots coming out of their noses still underestimated Ichikami. They are positive that they're all going to die, believing Ichikami only has a level 1 magic. The Demon Soldier uses 2 magic circles and casts a huge rock called the level 2 magic rock break and throws it to Ichikami. Ichikami, who only uses one arm to cast a spell and 1 magic circle, he smirks as he realizes that he can handle the demon so easily. Ichikami cast a spell named level 1 magic fire arrow. He cast it against a huge rock. The collision between the huge rock and Ichikami's spell causes the huge rock to explode to pieces of bits, but the spell Ichikami cast isn't just to defend himself to the rock, but it also aims the Demon Soldier. When the huge rock exploded, it affected the Demon Soldier. The Demon Soldier evaporated as its attack and Ichikami's single blow collides. The bullies were flabbergasted that Kusanagi Ichikami could single-handedly defeated a demon that majority of them in the class couldn't even kill it. Ichikami's glad that he killed the Demon Soldier, but a flashback happens when he got familiarized with the Demon Soldier's appearance. He remembers that the Demon Soldier was one of the first one to genocide the country in his days when he watched countless of people being brutally murdered with his own eyes. Tadano was embarrassed about the incident. He felt insulted when he witnessed Ichikami annihilated a Demon Soldier instead of him doing the job. Tadano and his friends just walked out but didn't even think of thanking Ichikami. After the incident, Mizuha seems to be eavesdropping and witnessed the whole incident. Before the Demon Soldier appeared, Mizuha was busy with the school activity. Mizuha uses her magic power called level 1 magic, Aqua Saucer. The monster was defeated immediately. Mizuha's group mates were dazzled by her skills as she uses her skills while thinking so high of herself. Even though her group mates complimented her, she sees them as ordinary people being a drag. Mizuha acts conceited every time people feed her ego. She thinks she's a genius and it cannot be helped. She was focused on the school activity until she saw Tadano's group. She does not care about Tadano, but what caught her eyes is Ichikami. Mizuha told her group that she would be back in a minute. She followed Tadano's group out of concern for Kusanagi. But Ichikami, she's concerned that Ichikami is outnumbered and could be beaten up by Tadano and his friends. Mizuha's finally caught up with them. She was about to confront the boys until she saw a Demon Soldier. Mizuha was distressed as she saw the demon while being fully aware that none of them could kill a single Demon Soldier. She trembles just like Tadano, but she didn't care what might happen to her even though the situation is extremely dangerous. She reminded herself that she is a noble and will never do such thing to disappoint her bloodline. She was motivated and willing to risk her life to save her classmates. As Mizuha ran towards them, she was stopped by Ichikami's powerful magic power. Mizuha's in awe. Mizuha witnessed the explosion of the huge rock and the Demon Soldier evaporated with Ichikami's one single blow. When the smoke fades from the explosion, Mizuha gazes at Ichikami. She knew her classmate her whole life in school for her. It was like she was looking at a different person. The Kusanagi she knew was someone timid and had no aptitude for magic. Mizuha is appalled by Ichikami, who didn't even chant a spell. In the present, people seem to be more comfortable casting magic after a brief chant. She squinted with curiosity running around her head that how could Ichikami, who she thought was Kusanagi, could beat a demon soldier with a level 1 magic power. Mizuha was in awe since she had knowledge about a demon's strength. A demon's strength is determined by its number of crystals. This is also how their ranking is established. For a magical beast with 1 crystal, the demon is ranked 6. Demon soldier, 2 crystals, ranked 5. Demon captain, 3 crystals, ranked 4. Demon general, 4 crystals, ranked 3. Demon king, 5 crystals, ranked 2. She determined all the demon rankings. That's why she knew that it's impossible to beat a demon soldier with a level 1 magic. Mizuha still hid behind the wall, observing Ichikami walking away after he single-handedly the demon. Mizuha caught herself being amused by Ichikami. Until Ichikami calls her out. Mizuha was shook when she realized Ichikami knew she was eavesdropping in the first place. She asked Ichikami out of curiosity. Ichikami responded that if you are a mage, it would be easy for you to sense someone's presence. But Mizuha glares with confusion on her face. With Ikikami's as usual reaction, he once again realized that everyone is not as powerful as the people in his era. Ichikami walks away, and Mizuha chased her since Mizuha's curiosity kept bothering her mind. As she ran in the alley, Ichikami suddenly disappeared. It appears that Ichikami was on top of the building. He took himself unnoticed to focus on other important things. He looked around while being on top of the building. He sensed multiple magical beasts, a kind of low-ranked beast lurking around near the area where everyone's doing their school activity. Ikikami's now worried for everyone's sake after witnessing Tadano's power against a monster. Ichikami has nothing on his mind except the fact that his classmates could be in danger with their situation. Ichikami decided to reduce the monsters to help his classmates. He didn't plan to wipe it all out to avoid suspicion. Ichikami releases his power like a ray of sunshine. His power has the range to cover area around Shibuya Station. He used 2 magic circles looking like a guardian angel to reduce the number of magical beasts. He called it level 2 magic, Magic Barret. Then a beam of golden light spread across the Shibuya Station, hunting down a magical beast. Some of his classmates saw the beam of light and thought it's a shooting star. One girl was about to be attacked by the magical beast, and the girls screamed so loud until Ikikami's power haunted the beast down. Ikikami's relieved to wipe out some magical beasts, but as he observes, he felt dumbfounded for overdoing his power. He ended up killing most of it, and the class won't be able to proceed. He advised himself to hold back next time. Ichikami then flew away after wiping out most of the monsters. He went into an alley where no one could see him. He didn't mind showing his powers, especially if it's necessary. It's just he humbly doesn't want to stand out. The teacher inspects the area full of dead beasts. The teacher has no idea that there will be countless monsters in the area since he was informed that the police magicians eliminated most monsters in the said area. The teacher was informed that one of his students was almost attacked by the beast. He seemed nervous, but he was thankful for the mysterious skilled magician who annihilated the monsters that almost killed his students. By the looks of it, the teacher knew that it would be impossible if one of his students were responsible for wiping out most of the monsters. One of his students was infuriated for almost dying, but the teacher humbly apologized, and he also believes that he is responsible for putting his student's life in danger. The teacher clenched his jaw from also being infuriated with his decision. He wrongly informed, but he also thought that he could have double-checked and get confirmation from the school's side. The 3 students who were almost brutally murdered by the beast stared at each other and thought that the teacher was valid for being wrongly informed about the place. The girl with braids asks if somebody saved them. She wanted to look for the hero and offer the hero gratitude. The teacher confirms that it must be someone outside the school using magic illegally. But he didn't mind since the hero he was referring to act. But Ichikami saved them all. He thanked the mysterious hero with his whole heart. And as per the students, including the teacher, they all had a face of relief, especially for Ichikami, who saved them all. After the practical class period, everyone walks home. As they were walking, they were all gossiping about the mysterious hero and the beam-light-looking power they saw. Ikikami's satisfied not only because he killed the monster, but he's also satisfied seeing everyone okay and are able to see their family in the end of the day. Ikikami's thankful even for Kusagani's bullies behind him who look like they're cursing him. Mizuha still couldn't get Akiko out of his mind, being able to defeat the demon soldier with her thought that Ikikami only has level 1 magic power. She still denies her gut feeling since for her knowledge it is impossible for a person to have multiple attributes, especially for Kusagani, who she believes is weak. She thought that she might be overthinking, it might be a different person. She glares at Ichikami, wondering who he could possibly be. As for the bullies, they still couldn't believe they were saved by who they thought was a weakling, but in spite of their overwhelming ego, deep down they were pretty impressed with Ichikami. Tadano was displeased with his friends who were talking about Ichikami's unbelievable skills non-stop. Despite being saved, Tadano felt humiliated and believes there's something fishy with Ichikami. Tadano's friends just agree with him like they are followers of Tadano, and change sides all of a sudden, calling Ichikami a weakling. Tadano, who's always been fractious, thought Ichikami was definitely cheating. He's furious and wanted to reveal Ichikami's true character so bad that his veins are starting to pop out. After school, Ichikami walks home alone. He then bumped into a group of men who looks threatening. They appear to be Tadano's followers. They look like a gang who craves to beat the life out of Ichikami in Tadano's order. Tadano then came out looking so cocky and arrogant, and told Ichikami that him and his followers were waiting. Ichikami, who is self-aware that even though he is outnumbered, he can finish off the gang in a second. Ichikami then maturely told the gang how persistent they were, and instead of wasting time to pick on someone, they should study the use of their magic. Tadano was pissed off, thinking Ichikami is trying to trash talk him, and calls Ichikami a cheat. Ichikami was confused. Tadano became more furious, thinking Ichikami is playing dumb since he believed Ichikami couldn't use that amount of magic power. Tadano then tries to act someone threatening and told Ichikami to run away. Ichikami replied with confidence that there's no reason for him to run away. Tadano then was irritated of Ichikami talking back at him. Ichikami was dragged to a playground, and Tadano instantly attacked him with a punch until one by one Ichikami was outnumbered, and they all beat him up. Tadano was so satisfied as he beats up Ichikami, thinking he's giving him a taste of his fist until he dies. But Ichikami wasn't even hurt. He has a barrier that automatically protects himself from punches or any danger. So even if the gang mutinously attempts to hurt Ichikami, it would be ineffective. But Ichikami doesn't care, since he's not someone who's fragile like Tadano. Ichikami was so annoyed that he just acted like he was really getting beaten by the gang. But then out of nowhere Mizuha appeared and made the gang stop from beating Ichikami. Tadano was embarrassed to see Mizuha witnessed his violent action, since he's infatuated by Mizuha. Tadano denies their bullying scheme, that they're all just playing around. Tadano thought he could fool Mizuha, but she angrily replied that she knew they've been bullying Kusanagi. She then lectures the gang that to think they are all students of the prestigious Magic Academy acting so violent to a poor person is a shame. The gang didn't feel bad, but embarrassed that someone like Mizuha felt an ick for their violence. Tadano didn't even think of his actions and still blames Ichikami why Mizuha is disgusted by him. Mizuha, being a good example, is a student of the said academy, and a Nobel grabs Ichikami's hands to save him from Tadano's gang. Tadano was furious and instantly chanted a spell to attack Ichikami without thinking it could also hurt Mizuha.